Everybody make sure you tune in or come to the fight. We're going to have a crawfish boil come July 29th.
The second time in the fight.
Terence "Bud" Crawford is often a man of quiet power, choosing to let his fists tell the story. But when opponents take his silence for weakness and step across the line into disrespect, the energy shifts instantly. Crawford doesn't just enter the ring to win a boxing match. He steps in to declare.
Damn this fight, however. Oh! Crawford gets him!
One of the best finishers in boxing.
And Crawford just nails him!
We are about to explore the key moments when arrogant opponents step too far, the insults, the shoves, and the threats that ultimately sealed their downfall. He turns the ring into a punishing arena for the bold rats who dared to doubt him. This isn't just rivalry anymore. It's repercussions, and Crawford makes certain they pay a price for every single provocation. Number 1, the street cred mistake. The feud with Jose Benavidez Jr. wasn't simply about titles or standings. It was personal, bitter, and deeply rooted. For months leading into their showdown, Benavidez Jr. chose to challenge the one thing you never doubt about Terence Crawford. He mocked Crawford's background, branding him a studio gangster and suggesting that the fierce persona was nothing more than a performance for the cameras.
A great camp. Been here for 3 weeks. We've been training hard. But you guys are going to see a new champion come Saturday night. I don't see nothing special in Crawford. I don't know why everyone's scared of him. Everyone's sleeping. Everyone's sleeping, and soon they'll wake up because I'm going to beat his ass come Saturday.
This was a dangerous game. Crawford carries the scars of his past almost physically etched into him. He survived a shooting earlier in his life, a moment that carved the steel into his mindset. For Benavidez to mock that, to call him a phony and challenge his street credibility, was like striking a match inside a room soaked in gasoline. Benavidez was relentless.
You bitch! You bitch! You bitch! You bitch! You bitch! You don't beat your mama, bitch! Your mama, bitch!
Using social media to drop memes, tease Crawford's team, and insist that Bud was terrified of a real fight.
I'm gonna get all them burritos out you, boy.
You bitch! You bitch! You bitch! You don't beat your mama, your mama, bitch!
The tension reached a boiling point at the weigh-in. As the two men stepped onto the scales, the air felt heavy enough to slice through. Benavidez, still locked into his pattern of disrespect, moved into Crawford's personal space and shoved him hard. It was a raw violation, a final slap of insult before the bell. Crawford's reaction was instantaneous.
Dre, how does a fighter like Benavidez control?
Oh! Thanks, that he.
The fight started.
No, he hit him.
The fight started early.
He hit him.
There was zero hesitation, no glance toward security to step in. He fired a looping right hand that barely missed clipping Benavidez's chin. This wasn't some staged promotion. It was a real attempt to finish the fight long before it ever officially began.
Is that it? Is that it?
I have.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, they getting all hostile.
They're trying to be the nice people.
He said we all bark but no bite. Come Saturday, he gonna find out how hard I bite. I ain't got to do too much talking because I know what's gonna happen come Saturday.
When they finally stepped into the ring, the atmosphere felt poisonous. Benavidez, even with a weakened leg from a past shooting of his own, kept running his mouth from the opening bell. He lowered his hands, poked out his chin, and dared Crawford to hit him. He wanted to show he was the real tough one. But Crawford wasn't fighting for points anymore. He was fighting to humiliate. Through the first half of the fight, Crawford slowly dismantled Benavidez's confidence. He shifted stances, landing crisp, biting jabs that snapped Benavidez's head backward. But the deeper story was the psychological punishment. Crawford started lowering his own hands, throwing back the same mockery that Benavidez had tried earlier.
As Bud came in, and then the right hand came in at a downward angle. Good exchange right in the center of the ring.
And there's a difficult.
By the 12th round, the fight was already finished on the scorecards. Crawford had it won. He could have coasted to a decision, moved around the ring, and walked out unharmed. But that's not how you answer disrespect. With under a minute left, Crawford unleashed a brutal uppercut that sent Benavidez crashing down. Benavidez tried to stand, his leg giving out, his pride scattered across the canvas of his home. Crawford stood over him, not with joy, but with the cold satisfaction of a man who had just proven a point. The trash talk ended the moment Benavidez hit the canvas. Number 2, the jawless insult. If Benavidez questioned Crawford's heart, Hank, Hammer, and Lundy crossed the line by questioning his very physiology. Lundy is a Philadelphia fighter, known for being bold, loud, and unafraid of anyone. But when he agreed to face Crawford, he pushed the trash talk into a disrespectful zone. He started calling Crawford jawless, mocking the fact that Crawford doesn't have a thick neck or a heavy, blocky head. Lundy claimed that one solid punch would shatter Crawford's glass jaw and that the champion was fragile.
This fired up, this motivated before in your career?
No. He think it's going to be distracting me. You know what I mean? So he want to egg everything going like, oh, I'm going to get Terence out of his game plan. But that's just boosting me up to go in there and do what I do best. And that's put on a great performance and hurt that boy.
He can't take pressure. He said he went to sleep.
Get all the shit, Hank. He's scared.
He said we can do it right here.
Lundy's confidence was sky high because he genuinely believed the rumors that Crawford couldn't absorb a punch. He thought he'd found the cheat code. But when the bell rang, Lundy quickly realized that landing on Terence Crawford is almost impossible, and actually hurting him is even tougher. Crawford entered with a ferocity that completely caught Lundy off guard. 4th round, the bill came due. Crawford landed a shot that scrambled Lundy's balance. As Lundy staggered across the ring, struggling to stay upright, Crawford didn't rush recklessly. He chose each strike with deadly precision, landing blow after blow until the referee had no choice but to step in and save Lundy from himself. The man who claimed Crawford had no jaw was left exposed, leaning against the ropes, while the supposed real welterweight. This kind of dismissal enrages Crawford more than insults. It's the absence of respect for his craft. When fight night arrived, commentators and analysts noticed a shift in Bud. He wasn't executing his usual measured patience. He was fighting with a sharp, mean streak, intent on humiliating Jean for daring to overlook him.
To match me, and we're gonna surprise him. The speed is gonna surprise him, you know. And the power.
From the first round, it was obvious that Gan had bought into his own hype, and that was his downfall. Crawford was quicker, stronger, and infinitely harsher. He pummeled Jean from one end of the ring to the other. But what made this domination mesmerizing was how Crawford toyed with him. He would floor Gan, watch him fight to stand, and then beckon him forward again. It was a deadly game of cat and mouse.
Terence "Bud" Crawford controlled it from the opening get-go, dropped the Jean in the first round and again in the 9th round. It went on to a wonderful TKO, a victory for him. That is, if you're a Terence Crawford fan, as most of the people.
At one point, Crawford landed a punch that sent Gan crashing into the ropes. Instead of glancing at the referee, Crawford fixed his stare on Jean's corner, the same team that had guaranteed the victory, and locked eyes with them. By the time the referee stopped the fight, Jean looked like a man who had survived a car crash.
Oh, good shot.
Hard right hand by Jean. That punch momentarily buckled Jean's knee. He's down again.
Pitch by Tony hurt, and that Jean was not going to
submit to this. You had to save him from himself at this point. And I think the referee did a great job.
Number 4, the silence of the Iceman.
Just mention me one elite fighter.
So Postol wasn't elite?
Who?
Viktor Postol.
Who's that guy?
Oh, so he wasn't commercialized. He wasn't a great.
The build-up to the Viktor Postol fight was different. Postol wasn't the usual trash talker. He was the Iceman, a tall, awkward, undefeated Ukrainian champion, and many experts believed he was the kryptonite to Crawford's style. The disrespect came from the story around it. The boxing world, fueled by Postol's camp and a toxic fan base, started spreading the idea that Crawford was about to be exposed. They claimed Postol was too big, that his jab was too sharp, that Crawford would be frustrated and outboxed. It was a tidal wave of doubt. And for a proud champion like Crawford, doubt is the deepest insult. He took the fight not just to unify the titles, but to silence everyone. On fight night, the tension was palpable. Postol's fans roared, convinced the upset was near. What followed, however, was perhaps the greatest defensive masterclass of modern boxing. Crawford didn't just defeat Postol, he dismantled him, turning the Iceman into a bewildered amateur.
Him to the body with the jab, gets his combination.
I like to see him try to get inside more.
Ceremonies a couple of weeks ago, and he just enjoys himself. That's going to be scored as a knockdown.
Though that he doesn't talk a lot of trash.
Oh, what a great counterpunch. He touches the canvas again. Yep. That's another knockdown.
And came right at the bell. He comes out, little right to the top of the head. He just cuffed him with it. Knee barely. The second knockdown, there was a real punch here. See that left? See that left? Now that gets him going. He goes across just the bare touch of a glove.
Crawford fought southpaw, gliding laterally and making Postol miss by miles. Every time Postol tried to engage, he struck nothing but air, and Crawford would fire back with a crisp, stinging counter. You could see the frustration building on Postol's face. He had no solution. The boogeyman everyone claimed would expose Crawford was being rendered completely helpless.
Cracked him with a hard left hand.
Gets you to stick your chin out.
And he's
kind of waltzes into his guy. And to this day, if you see Meldrick Taylor, we know that was Crawford.
In the later rounds, Crawford started to toy with him. He dropped his hands. He stuck out his tongue. He tapped his chin. He was showing the world that the so-called threat was nothing but smoke. By the final bell, the arena was hushed. Crawford had taken the toughest challenge and made it look like a sparring session. He didn't just claim the belts. He quieted an entire army of critics without uttering a single word.
Я не отказывался, я знаю то, что переговоры были, чтобы боксировать с Crawfordом, мы были давно согласны с ним, только не знаю, почему он не захотел боксировать, мы то хотели боксировать, ну хорошо, что бой состоялся.
The jab just didn't work that well. He was moving well. He didn't let me engage with the jab. That was probably part of their plan.
Number 5, the heckler and the truth. This brings us to the summit, the biggest fight of the past decade. Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. For 5 years, the world argued over who was superior. The rivalry was fierce, a perfect 50-50 divide.
So this is making me 100% focused, and I'm ready to show everybody why I am the biggest, the big fish. Stretch season, man down, everybody know that. The grave digger.
But as the fight approached, the energy from Spence's camp turned ugly. It wasn't just about skill anymore. It became personal, fueled by hate. At the final press conference, the tension snapped. Spence himself stayed relatively composed, but his team and family were unruly. One member began heckling Crawford while he tried to speak, shouting over him, showing blatant disrespect in front of the world's media. Normally, a fighter might ignore it, not Bud. He paused mid-sentence. fixed his cold, piercing stare on the heckler, and fired back, "You a B-type. You doing all that talking? You a bike." It was raw, unfiltered emotion. He was done with the chatter, done with the disrespect, done with the big fish narrative.
Over 20,000 are going to come to this arena. What can you guarantee the boxing public they're going to get when you step in the ring with Terence "Bud" Crawford? You a bitch.
You don't get legendary stuff.
You a bitch, nigga. See, you a bitch, nigga. You a bitch, nigga. Hold on. Let Errol. You a bitch, nigga. Because you keep talking about a bitch, nigga. You doing all that talking, nigga.
That's how
you doing all that talking, nigga. Oh, whole ass nigga.
Catch me, gotta come back. Catch me, gotta come.
The fight itself was stunning. Everyone predicted a 50-50 battle. What unfolded was a massacre. From the second round onward, Crawford didn't just defeat Spence, he dismantled him. He floored him with a rigid jab, a jab that landed like a sledgehammer. He blocked every punch Spence launched and returned fire with ruthless precision.
Favors Spence. Back comes Crawford with the jab. Down goes Spence. How quickly that changes.
It was hard to watch. Spence, a unified champion who had never been floored, was now bouncing off the ropes like a rubber ball. Crawford's precision was terrifying. He was landing punches at a pace that shouldn't be possible at the highest level. By the 9th round, Spence's face was a canvas of blood and swelling. The referee stepped in to protect him, and the arena exploded. It wasn't the knockout. It was Crawford standing on the ropes, staring down at the wreckage he had created. The voices calling him the B-side were silent. He had taken was the ultimate vindication. The man who had been disrespected, doubted, and heckled for years now stood alone as the undisputed king. When you face Terence Crawford, you're already in danger. But when you disrespect him, shove him, mock his past, or let your team run wild, you're not just facing a boxer anymore. You're facing someone who takes it personally. Benavidez lost his pride, Lundy lost his consciousness, Jean lost his career momentum, Postol lost his mystique, and Spence lost his invincibility. They all learned the same brutal truth. Talk is cheap, but disrespecting Bud Crawford costs in blood. In a sport full of manufactured drama, Terence Crawford is rare, a quiet man who keeps his word. And when he promises to hurt you, believe it. Because when the bell rings, the talking ends, and the destruction begins. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss our next videos. Share your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.